Hey everybody and welcome back to Stitchwick Creations. This video is a collab hosted by Splendid Miscellany and includes Apocalyptic Creates, Boho Punks, Dims Critters, Heart Horror Dolls, Invader Ice, Locust Oak, Mailorus Custom, Pixie Doll Doll Art, Riff of Ischemia, myself, Stormy Moomy Dolls, The Sunflower Frog and Zin Parker. The theme is post-apocalyptic magic girl, so I've got a head that I've already rerouted with some funky hair, and I'm going to get started by giving the face another wipe with acetone. This doll was an old project that I'd started, lost track of what I wanted to actually do with her, and I thought that her magic hair would be perfect for post-apocalyptic / cyberpunky sort of feel doll. So now the doll is prepped with a layer of Mr. Super Clear, and I am just going to sketch out the main features with a brown pencil and make sure that her eyes are looking in the same direction. And there's another doll video coming up soon where I have had a hell of a time trying to get the face to work, so this will work first time, which was pretty good. I find turning the doll's head upside down helps me with some basic symmetry. It helps when you're doing things like drawing pictures of bottles and whatnot. You can turn them upside down and see better which side's off. Now I'm happy with the shape of her eyes, I'm going to add things like eyebrows, and as I was making this doll I came up with a little backstory for her. Obviously, world is post-apocalyptic, bad stuff's happened, and people have started manifesting magical powers, and it is frowned upon, and they are hunted down for their magical powers. So she's got bags under her eyes, she's looking a bit worse for wear, a bit gaunt, and is a criminal on the loose for being a magical girl. I use chalk pastels to do blushes and colour washes, and because you can blend those out quite nicely, and you can also pick up a lot with an eraser to get rid of some of the overspill and define some of the lines a bit better. I decided to give my magical girl a green eye and a brown eye. I don't think there are enough dolls that have brown eyes, and as somebody with very brown eyes, I feel that people prefer the brighter colour eyes, and green has always been associated with magical powers and mystical abilities. I've recently treated myself to some of the Caran d'Ache Museum watercolour pencils as recommended by Dolly Mixtures, and I can honestly say these are the best quality pencils that I have used for this kind of thing. They are nice and solid, the nibs don't snap, they're very pigmented, and they're just really nice to work with, and the payoff's fantastic. I'm giving her some pink eyebrows. Magically this Arteza pencil glows in the dark, which I didn't realise, or glows under UV light rather, and it kind of adds to it later on, as you'll see. I've given her a bit of a worried, concerned expression because in my little world that she's in, she's constantly being chased, and she lives in a sort of underground cave system, or tunnel system. So yeah, she's a little bit worried. I'm using a magic sponge here, which is kind of like an eraser, but more of a blending tool. It's very useful. Now I've got her base colours down, I can start putting in little details into her irises, such as little streaks of bright greens and bright browns, and then doing little highlights on her eyelids with a lighter pencil, and putting in nice fluffy eyelashes with a black pencil. Happy with her face, I give her a final seal. This poor thing's been sat on a shelf for quite some time, and her body has been used for another project, or she could have just been a head. So I have gone into my box of broken dolls, and I'm going to make a strange hybrid of a little sister body and some longer Cleo arms, which didn't quite fit properly, so they do fall out occasionally. I need to try and find a way to make them stick all the time. I prefer to snip the neck peg down on the dolls. I don't know why, just feels neater in my head. Now we can shove a head back on and have a look and see what we think. Now I've got some UV reactive paint to go with her UV reactive hair, and I'm using the stuff that is literally just the phosphorus, so I can add layers of glowy stuff into her sclera and add little details on her face, some magic symbols that are from my little logo thing, and amazingly they disappear when they dry, so you can only really see them properly when there's a UV light on her. Now let's turn off the lights and see what happens with the UV light. Onto her clothes, I'm just doing a simple boob tube made out of some faux leather. This is the same stuff that I used on my Drowned Necromancer, and I've learnt the hard way on that one not to sew it, so I'm just gluing down the edges. with some cotton linen mix fabric that frays a lot, so want to keep that feature. I've made a long skirt which I'm going to hack at, so it's split either side of her leg, so you can see her little stocking things that I'm going to make. For her coat, I've made a long coat out of Delightful's oversized hoodie pattern and modified it so it's a bit longer, and I've also made some lining that reflects with a flash. It's pretty funky. I will put a link in the description box for the pattern for this one. So I'm not a massive fan of lining things because it's a pain in the arse and it's fiddly and I often make a mess of it. So I'm going to do it on a tiny scale and really, make life fun for myself. I'm not a massive fan of pinning stuff. I quite often like to just shove it together and have at it. So you'll see later on how many pins I use and you can see exactly how fiddly bloody lining is. But it was absolutely worth it. I'm really pleased with how it looked in the end. Stabbed it all with tiny pins, stabbed my hands with tiny pins, got my finger stuck under the thing with the tiny pins, tiny flipping pins everywhere. Then once the lining is securely in, I'm going to flip it the right side out and then do a stitch down the outer edge to hold it all in place properly. Apparently I forgot to put my lights on here, but so just sectioning front bit off her hair and putting in some little pigtails with some little elastics and tangling my fingers all up inside it. Okay, I think she looks flipping adorable. Look at its big sad eyes. Yeah. There was a lot of hand sewing for the coat, so I did a fair amount of that off camera, and the stockings were just tubes of gauzy fabric with little stars on them. And I've had a nice choppy chop at the skirt so it's all frayed, and I've added some snap fasteners at the back so that it stays on nicely, and velcro to the boob tube. And I found some shoes in my stock box which I thought were perfect. This is her all dressed and clean, and off camera after I've taken some initial photos, I give her another chop and a snip at the ends of her coat that are all frayed and muddy her up with some pan pastels and watered down watercolour paints. And here's a fun slideshow. Another shout out to Splendid Miscellany for hosting this fantastic Strange collab and all the others, and I will put all the links below in the description box so you can go and have a look on their Instagrams and give them some love and comments and thumbs up.